Ever had a snack fight back? Let me tell you about the time a half-pop popcorn kernel launched itself at my face and won. So, I've got this obsession with half-pop popcorn. You know, the ones that didn't fully commit to being fluffy and soft but have just enough crunch. It's kind of a unique thing, I get it, but there's something seriously addictive about it. When I eat regular popcorn, I'm the type who digs down to the bottom of the bowl or bag, hunting for those elusive, half-pop pieces. They're like hidden gems, and for me, it's the highlight of the whole popcorn experience. But here's the catch. I live in Canada, and they don't sell bags of just half-pop popcorn here. I know they exist in other places. You can order them online in some countries, or maybe find them in a specialty store in the US. But here, no luck. So, naturally, I've had to figure out my own way of making them. And let me tell you, it's been a journey. After plenty of trial and error, I think I've actually nailed down a method that works. You need a heavy-duty pot. None of those flimsy ones that barely hold the heat. I use a Le Creuset cast iron pot. Not gonna lie, I probably paid more for that pot than I should have. But it's so worth it for this. With a sturdy pot, you can get a consistent temperature, which is key. Also, it has to have a lid. Trust me, the lid is not optional. If you're interested in the specific temperatures and timings I use, let me know in the comments. I've tested just about every combination of heat and time possible to get that perfect pop. Just enough to soften the inside but keep the outside crunchy. Anyway, the process itself is actually kind of fun. I start by heating up the pot with a little oil, just enough to coat the bottom, and then I pour in the kernels. Now, here's where the magic happens. I don't want the kernels to pop fully, so I have to keep the heat at this tricky in-between point. I shake the pot around to make sure the heat spreads evenly, and I listen intently as the popping sound starts. You have to listen carefully to know when to take it off the heat, or you risk either fully popped popcorn or burnt kernels. I usually let them pop until it gets quiet in the pot. Then I pull it off the heat and let it sit for a couple more minutes. You'd think that would be enough time for the stragglers to finish popping, right? Well, here's where things went south. So tonight, everything was going as planned. I'd followed my usual routine, heating the pot, adding the oil and kernels, listening to the popping die down, and then pulling it off the heat. I let it sit for a few minutes, like I usually do, figuring that any last rebellious kernels had already popped. At this point, I was feeling pretty proud of myself. I could almost taste that perfectly half-pop popcorn crunch. Finally, I decided it was safe to take off the lid and dig in. But as I lifted the lid, something unexpected happened. Out of nowhere, one last kernel decided it wasn't done popping. I kid you not, this little guy launched itself straight at my face at what felt like 60 miles per hour. It was like the kernel had been lying in wait, biding its time, just for the chance to ambush me. Instinctively, I closed my eyes and turned my head, but I wasn't fast enough. The kernel, half-popped and still egg-shaped, hit me right in the face. Specifically, it wedged itself between my closed lips. Not just anywhere, right in the tender skin in the middle. And it was hot, like lava hot. The kind of hot that feels like it's searing into your skin instantly. Now, let's talk about pain for a second. This wasn't a mild ouch moment. Between the heat and the impact, I could feel the skin on my lip reacting immediately. My lips were closed, so it wasn't like I could just spit it out. I had to actually reach up and swipe it off, but not before it left a serious burn. The oil on the kernel didn't help either. In fact, I think it made it worse, intensifying the burn and leaving what I could already tell was going to be a blister. At this point, I'm just grateful it didn't hit my eye. Can you imagine? One rogue kernel, and I could have ended up with an eye injury. Still, my lip took a solid hit. Between the impact and the burn, I ended up with a decent-sized blister that's probably going to take a while to heal. It's both painful and, honestly, a little embarrassing. All this because I couldn't wait just a few extra minutes. So, what's the lesson here? Patience is key. If you're making half-pop popcorn on the stove, don't rush it. Let it sit. Maybe even longer than you think necessary. If you think it's been long enough, wait a little more. Those final kernels are sneaky, and they'll take any chance they can get to catch you off guard. And maybe consider investing in some safety goggles if you're as committed to the half-pop life as I am. Let this be a warning for anyone else out there trying to DIY their own half-pop popcorn. It's a rewarding snack, but definitely not worth a burn injury.